Cressida Dick could not have become a police officer in this country if it wasn't for the struggles of black people. Ask me, why is that the case? I'll tell you why. Because when they wanted to recruit black people into the police force in the 80s and we wouldn't join, they said, you know what, we're going to drop the height restrictions. Because some of them black people ain't so tall. So we'll drop the height restrictions so that the black people will join. We can't get the tall ones, we'll take the small ones. And guess who went into the police force when they changed the height restriction? That would be white women. I'm not joking. That would be women. And they told us that we'd have women in there and they'd be different from the white men. Because women have been oppressed and they'd understand. Women had faced sexism, so they'd understand racism. They told us that if a woman in power here, it would be different. You remember Margaret Thatcher? Yeah, they told us the same shit about her too. And what did we get? We got exactly what we got here today. We got someone who only got there because of our struggle, and understand this when I say our struggle. First Equality Act in this country, Race Relations Amendment Act 1968. First Equality Act, Race Equality Act on the back of black people. We met with our most senior black politicians. We met with David Lammy. We met with the Mayor of London. We met with the leader of Harrogate Council. All of them happened to be black or politically black. Lammy, Joseph Ejiofor, the leader of Harrogate Council, in which Tottenham is situated, and with, what's the mayor's name again? Sadiq Khan. We met with them. And in a room, in a space, where there was no cameras, where there was no media, they was able to talk to us about institutional racism. They told us that they knew it was emanated from this place. They told us that they knew it infected this space. They told us that they knew it was in their every action, behavior, policy and procedure. And then they came out of that room and they became mealy-mouthed politicians. Don't let no one tell you that black representation in this mainstream two-party political system helps, because that is foolishness.
They're 12 years old.
Wow.
They came to the house with at least 4 or 5 firearms aiming at me and my family in my house. It was a normal Friday evening. We had done nothing weird or strange in the evening. Was at home relaxing as you do, watching TV. And my son has loads of toys, one of which is a toy gun. Can't hurt nobody. Doesn't even have pellets in. Plastic toy guns. And someone, as Stafford said, walked past my house, peered into my window, and made a report that a black male was holding a gun.
A child.
A black male was holding a gun. My son is 12. And an hour afterwards, the police burst into my house, SCO 19, the same force that killed Mark Duggan. And they have semi-automatic rifles, big guns, visors, red beams. And my son had no top on because he was sleeping. And he opened the door because all he heard was, "Open up, police." And he was petrified. And he opened the door with no top on, no shoes. And they had big guns just pointing at him, with red beams pointing at his head, and my head, and my kids who are 16 and 23, 2 daughters. We was terrified.
My name is Winston True. I was a member of the Black Power movement in the 1970s, fighting for black people's rights, standing up for black people and against police brutality and police corruption. One Thursday evening, I was coming home from a meeting with the Black Liberation Front, another Black Power organization, at the Oval Underground. We were accosted by a group of white men. They were plainclothes detectives pretending to be human beings. They grabbed us. Because they were ordinary white men to us, we fight them, punch up some of them. Uniformed police came, took us to Kennington Lane Police and beat the shit out of us to get us to confess the things we didn't do. When the case came to court, we got found not guilty for the things the police beat us to confess to, We were found guilty, but the things the police said they saw us doing. They said they saw me trying to pick a man's pocket on the platform. They saw me trying to pick another man's pocket on the escalator. And then when they approach us, announce themselves as police officers, we fight them. A pack of lies. Right? At the Old Bailey in November 1972, I was sentenced to 2 years in prison for 2 counts of attempted theft, 2 counts of assault on police. The case went to the Old Bailey to the Court of Appeal. Lord Justice James rejected the new evidence, saying we didn't thief anything at all. We were let out of prison in 1973 because he cut the sentence from 1 year from 2 years to 1 year. For 47 years, I did not accept that I was a guilty person. I did not accept it. And I carried on and I fight and I fight and I fight. I write a book, I campaigned, I wrote articles, I spoke. And I found that the policeman who was accused of being a thief, he himself is a thief. He was found guilty and sent to prison and went him dead in prison. Dead in prison. With that information, I appealed to the Criminal Case Review Commission. They sent my case back to court, and in December 2009, I was found not guilty, and my name was cleared.
But they started on my kids. And you know, every time now they come, my little kids, grandkids get in trouble, they kick off the door. They're running. Cynthia Jarrett's kids. You lot are next. Yeah, they didn't stop. They locked them up in the end. They could have done better in life, but it's the system, man. I blame the system. They didn't help my daughter because they didn't want to. Because their plan is to just, we can't get you, we'll get the next one down the line. And I was followed for years. I was followed for years. You know, no one can tell me nothing. I know I was followed. And like I said, racism can't die. I've got to stop now, all right? Thank you.
Back in 1985, they put 6 people, or should I say, they framed 6 people. 3 for the murder of P.C. Blakelock, basically. And before the trial started, 3 juveniles, case was sort of thrown out, vanquished, and left so-called 3 adults. What happened, basically, was not just a miscarriage of justice, was a travesty, blatant frame-up of 3 innocent guys. Now, when I look back, sitting in the dock, basically with my so-called 2 co-defendants, which I didn't know, and I'm looking at these people now, I'm no angel, yeah? But looking at these guys that they've given me as so-called co-defendants, I'm thinking, hang on, this can't be right. People can see this, that we're not the same age group, we don't move together. So how are these people going to get away with it? But basically, with auto-suggestion, helicopters in the sky, police on the Old Bailey with guns while you're going to trial, obviously puts things into jury's minds. And what I'm here to say to you today is that was back in 1985. We actually got framed. In 1987, yeah, we got falsely convicted. And today, nothing's changed. Nothing hasn't changed at all.
This is institutional racism in action. And it's been played out right in front of our very eyes. They used to say, you want to fool a nigger, you put the shit in the book. And now they're saying, you want to con us, you put it on TV, you put it on the media, and you try to justify it. Well, we say there is no justification. There's no justification for stopping black youth in the numbers that you do. There's no justification for taking out your handcuffs and handcuffing them like like they're criminals and like they're chattel. There's no justification for the use of tasers on black bodies, black boys, black people, like we are somehow less than chattel. We will not have it. We say no justice there can be. No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice.
Let's talk about strip search. Strip search. State-sanctioned sexual assault. That's what we call it. That's what we call it.
All I remember is them dragging me out of my car. One of them dragged me out by my head, while the one on the passenger side pushed me out. And then I just was on the pavement, and I was thinking, this is just so unreal. As the police officers searched my car, they found a bottle with water in it, and 8 officers were around this bottle examining what was water. I was so confused because they were saying something is not adding up. Something is not adding up. And I'm saying, but I'm just a nurse, I want to go home, the hospital I work at is just down there. I can give you the phone number. No, something is not adding up. They saw my driving licence, they saw my NHS ID. Eventually, I stood and watched them, seeing them searching my car, thinking, thank God, please help me, because I don't know what these people, because it was a gang, I could see a gang. They were surrounding me and they were pulling my car apart, and I'm thinking, what are they hoping to find? So when the officer came to me and says, we've not found anything in your car, miss, I'm thinking, thank God. But you know what? You took too long to get out the car, 6 minutes in total. You're not going anywhere today. And what these thugs did, they took me in a van. I'm still confused, like what is happening? They took me in a van from outside my house, away from my children and my family. I'm telling them I've got work tomorrow, I'm a nurse. You're not going anywhere, madam, they said. And they took me to Kingston Police Station, where they took my laptop, my phone, and everything. They stripped me of my dignity. They put me in a cell, a dirty cell. I was on the mattress. I was in the on the mattress, and there's a hatchet, and I'm saying, please, I feel like I can't breathe in here. Let me out, because I don't understand why I'm here. Boom, the hatchet is closed. I don't want to bore you all with the details, but eventually, I went to court. They charged me with obstruction. The implications of being a nurse and having a criminal record. They informed the Nursing and Midwifery Council and told them that I'm a threat because I was scared to leave my car. I obstructed them from violating me, and I was charged for it. So
I was driving to drop my dad some food. I didn't want him to go out during the pandemic. I drive in the family. Yeah? On my way home, in fact, just when I left, I got aggressively tailgated by a territorial support unit van. Them blue Met police vans. You know what? Even internal police hate them. That's how bad they are for violent crime. Yeah? They aggressively tailgated me. They came out, they started banging my window. I thought I was under arrest. Yeah? So I started videoing it. And when I questioned what the search was for, guess what? Handcuffs. Straight up handcuffs. And then lies about cannabis throughout the whole search. I told him, can you prove this? Get more police officers down. They said, no, lad, this is enough. We say there's cannabis. There's cannabis. That's how fucked up the system is, yeah? Fuck the cannabis allegations. The IOPC have recently spoken this week saying that police officers can't use the smell of cannabis to stop anyone. But they've been doing that anyway. It's not a fucking justification. Yeah? Throughout the search as well, they would not let me see my fucking car get searched. The whole time I was detained, I could not see my car get searched. I sat there for an hour, just pissed off, I wouldn't leave. Because I was just wondering what was going on, why am I getting targeted like this? When I went home, I put a comment on Twitter, it's all there, all the documentation's online. I asked them, what was this about? They ignored the comment. I tagged them, they were still tweeting other things. Now, 4 days later, I went for an interview on Channel 4 about institutional racism in the police and the system. Spoke about it. 40 minutes on my way home, I got stopped by the City of London police. Yeah? Within 4 minutes, my window went in. They smashed my window. They lied about me stuffing things within my waistband. Their exact words. This time it was not cannabis. They were talking about Class A drugs. Yeah? Who is going to go in the city during the pandemic to sell Class A drugs? No one was around. No one was around to sell drugs too. They strip searched me at the police station. They done a drug test on me. They assaulted me when they broke the window as well. Even when I was in handcuffs, I got smashed on the wall after I got smashed on the floor. I did the interview alone via phone. The solicitor wasn't on the phone because of the pandemic. I had no support. I had no support at all. As I was about to leave the police station, in the morning, they said, we saw your interview because it aired while I was in custody. It aired on TV, believe it or not. It aired on TV. They even said to me, oh, we could give you your car back early, but we're not going to do you that favour. And they let me out at 5 a.m. in the morning. I had to walk around in the city of London for so long. They stopped me again to get my car. They stopped me on foot. So I got problems with the City of London police and the Met police. They stopped me on foot on my way back to get my car. And you know what they said? They said, why are you just in custody this morning? They knew who I was. I was the talk of the city to them. Yeah? That same officer, 30 minutes later, gave me my car back, trashed up. They trashed up my car. The glass is still in my car right now. I am not cleaning it up. I called the City of London police and I asked them, why have they allowed my car to be in that condition? Give them back to me. They said it was fine. Everything was fine. They've come back recently saying they were not meant to trash my car. But they ain't apologise. They never apologise. Yeah? Never. They ain't paid for no damages. They ain't even apologise. They ain't apologise. They haven't even acknowledged the lies on both searches. Both searches they lied. And you know what it is? I've never even smoked weed in my life. I have no problem with anyone that does. I've been around it. I've grown up in the first stop was in Tottenham. I know. Yeah? It's not my fucking business. Who does? I've been around it, but I've never done it myself. And I've never shot at nothing as well. But I'm still targeted. I got followed on my way here by police. It doesn't stop. This doesn't stop. And when you speak up, that's a problem. As they see you as a problem.
Raise your fingers in the air right now and say, fuck the police! Fuck the police! Fuck the police!
Capable. They're not being trained to de-escalate. They're not being trained to do any of these things. They're just being the very little training that they do have, which means they're unequipped, they're not trained, they have no mental health training. They're out there predominantly dealing with mental health crisis, domestic violence and domestic abuse, which they're incapable of doing properly. Everything they do wrong. We don't want to fund that. Categorically doesn't work. And what does it do? This is one side of the spectrum of the conveyor belt into the most violent institutions in this country, our prisons. Unfit for purpose. Unfit for purpose. They don't help anyone. Don't let them lie to you. It's not about rehabilitation. It's not about supporting people to actually deal with their needs. This system we call criminal justice is the injustice system. The criminal injustice system that protects criminals that brutalize our community and our children and puts our children in prisons where they brutalize them some more and expect them to come out into society and do what? They are traumatized. We want funding in trauma response. We want funding and resources in therapeutic support. We want to deal with mental health appropriately and actually support people's needs. We want to support people who are experiencing harm, whether that's domestic abuse and domestic violence, whether that's youth and community violence, whatever harm it is. But we don't want an institution